had to direct a play because you're a director. And they said, what are you going to do, Stuart? He said, I want to do Peter Pan. And they went, oh, well, that's lovely, thank you. Well, and then they came to opening night, and he had updated it to the 60s, and Gata DeVita was going, and all the Lost Boys were little boys, naked little boys and girls. And they just had a conniption fit, and he left.
This was definitely not Spielberg's book. This was a little different.
It wasn't cute. Like, can you imagine the dean and everybody? And let's go see Peter Pan. Bring the kids. It's so very Stewart. Yeah.
So talking again about kind of the theater background, watching this film, I really just love the chemistry that you have both with Bruce Abbott and Barbara Crampton as well. The three of you on screen together, I think, is such a great combination. And we talked on the phone earlier this week, and you said there was just like a lot of rehearsal, kind of in a theater way.
Absolutely theater way. Absolutely. Stewart, obviously, was artistic director of a theater in Chicago for many years, organic theater, and they would do, shock theater. I mean, he wasn't playing it safe. He would do things like put armed guards at every exit so the audience couldn't leave, and blood and everything would fly. And he was doing this before Re-Animator, so he knew the value of rehearsal. Because when you do the theater, you're going to do a play, you're going to have 4 weeks of rehearsal before you ever open. A movie? Like, never. You negotiate whatever it is your deal is and a date, and you show up, and then everybody, it's so stupid. They start figuring it out like now while someone's going, we've got to go, So Stewart just brought his theater sensibilities to movies, and said, I want to rehearse. Can we rehearse? So we did all of those scenes over 2-3 weeks. We would get together and at his place or somebody's place and figure it out. He'd get the rhythms down, the blocking basically, and so when the time came for us to shoot, we're doing that? Sure. It's kind of like a band. That song? Yeah, we rehearsed that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We were ready. So that was most excellent.
Yeah, I think it's so evident on the screen. Just like I said, when the three of you have scenes together, it's good stuff.
Well, it's also because he's a really great director, and one of his real strong points is casting. He was really good. Everybody in this movie is like, it's just perfect for that.
I want to talk about the overall tone of this movie, which really straddles a line between obviously horror and comedy. It does have some similarities to, things like maybe The Evil Dead or things like that, but it does feel very unique. And the tone of your performance is also really kind of like on the line. Was that hard to figure out? Did you kind of struggle like figuring out how to play this role in this kind of film?
It's a collection of decisions there, private and public. Stewart, first of all, wisely never in our rehearsals made us go for a joke, ever. He treated this material as very serious. Like, I think actually in the long run, he was surprised at how funny it was when the movie finally came out. And my evidence of that mostly is the next movie he did, From Beyond. very little humor. I mean, you kind of saw too that wouldn't creep in. So, however, Bruce and I said privately to each other, because actors do that, especially if they work really well together, and boy, we really did. It was like, I wouldn't be here without him. I just wouldn't. And we just said, man, this thing is so bloody. The audience is just going to be bombarded with this stuff. We've got to find places to ease this tension. It can't be, aren't we funny? But it's got to be places where the audience can go, you know, a little release. So we would strategically find those places. Maybe lines that weren't meant to be funny, like, you killed him, he's dead? Not anymore. You know, I don't know if they wrote that line with that kind of delivery intended. But that's what I did. So I wasn't trying to be funny, but I thought that the character would probably have a little dark sense of approach to things. So we did try to find some humor. Some of them just kind of showed up, like, for instance, you know, when of course you know, you just saw the movie. When I have the head and the decapitated body is over there, and I take the head and I put it in the pan, and it falls over. Well, that was an accident. I mean, you know, it was like, just take the head and put it in the pan, and then, you know, continue. Well, that's not going to work, because the pan was slimy, it's metal and wet, and, you know, the head didn't have a flat bottom, it had like tendrils, and so it wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work. Like, how am I going to solve this problem? Well, Howard Herbert solved this problem, and it just so happened that the prop guy had put a letter, you know, keeper there, you know, with notes that you put. Who has one of those, by the way? We all know what that is, but who has that? But there that was, and I went, oh, okay, that's a base, that's a foundation for the head. So I just made it 3, because comedy is 3. You know, try it once, that didn't work. Try it once again, hey, wait a minute. And then bang, and it worked. So that's a happy accident.
You mentioned that before. I've read that before. You described so much of this film as a series of happy accidents. Now that's a really obvious one. Are there any other examples you can think of?
Who uses that? He does it a lot. Christopher Walken uses that happy accident. Yeah, he does that. I like that phrase, because they are happy that they happen. You didn't intend them to happen. Listen. Making a movie is a collaborative art form. It is really, really difficult to make a great movie. If it were easy, there'd be a lot more of them. I've done a lot of movies since Re-Animator. I was so inexperienced with movies when Re-Animator hit. I went, oh, okay, let's make a movie. That's what happens, and then you know, everything has to work. The writer, the editor, the music, the script, the actors, the lighting, it all has to be of a piece. And there's always, you know, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. And there's always usually a weak link, but not with Re-Animator. Not really. It's really a little gem of a movie, and a lot of right decisions. You know, how do I write this music? Should it be, you know, the music, of course, it's an homage to Herman and all of that, but it's also choosing whether or not to be put humorous accents in your music at the right time, as opposed to playing it dead serious, and it was really good choices.
Yeah, I think it's so fantastic because there's nothing worse than a movie that's trying to be funny or trying to be a cult classic.
Oh God, it's the worst.
It needs to happen organically, and I think that's.
I think
100%.
the humor in this movie comes out of situation and character. It doesn't. It isn't. It isn't. We didn't set out to be full of yucks at all. Although it is yuck, but not yuck. Okay, so it's like dropping a Rubik's Cube, and you pick it up and it's done. You know, it's amazing how difficult it is to make a movie.
So obviously it worked. We're all here 40 years later. Before I go on, I mean, is it kind of surreal to be sitting here talking about this film 40 years on, this thing you did, you know, for what, a couple of weeks' work?
What do you think?
I think yes.
Really, it was 3 weeks in between Thanksgiving and Christmas of 1984. 3 weeks, long hours, zip, zip, zip. Well, that's over with, and we just, you know, hoped good things for it. I honestly didn't see it coming. No way. I thought, this movie's so bloody. I want to be on a movie set. I want to learn this craft. I hadn't done much film work. So a 3-week stint watching people and what they do and how it's all put together is a real opportunity. I will use it to my advantage and get some experience, because nobody will see this movie. Bruce felt the same way, and we're both wrong.
I would say you're wrong. At the time, when the film came out, I know, you know, kind of a lot of big critics of the day were you know, kind of gave it some good reviews. People like Roger Ebert, Pauline Kael liked the film. Was that kind of
I don't know
a
who Pauline Kael is anymore, but she was preeminent. Yes. I heard the other day, and I don't know if this is true, that Tarantino is going to make a movie about Pauline Kael.
I think, yeah, it was like a movie critic or something. It was, yeah, I don't know.
Wow. But she was the preeminent movie critic at the time, and she put it on her top 10 list for 1985.
Yeah, she had fascinating taste.
However, there were all great reviews, and in anticipation of this, I remembered that I had some reviews in a file out in my filing cabinet in the garage, and I went through it, and I found one particularly snarkfest of a review, and I went, I think I should probably share this with people.
Please.
This is an abomination, but it's also hilarious. In essence, he liked the movie, he just didn't want to admit it. Can I read this to you? And I'm going to editorialize as we go along. I'm not just going to read it. I'm going to go, wait a minute. Okay, here we go. So this is November 4th of 1985. That is about 2 or 3 weeks after Re-Animator came out in theaters. I think it was like October 18th or something. That Re-Animator 19th? I'm not sure. I should be sure, but not. But before that, it was a big had a big thing at Cannes. It had a midnight showing at Cannes. That's where Ebert saw it, and gave it a good review, went up, but the place went nuts. And so he writes about that too. Here we go. I'll tell you what this is from at the end, because that's a hoot. Okay. Re-Animator. This guy's name, Ralph Novak. See, not calling Kale. The Cannes Film Festival has gotten excited about some pretty weird things in its time, but none odder than this gore-mongering chiller. Chiller? Okay. Which was unofficially named Best Science Fiction Film of this year's extravaganza. Really? Science fiction, huh? You know? Captain, we're in range of the planets. I don't think so. Okay, but anyway. Okay, as movies about severed heads living independent lives go, this is the greatest of all time. I think he's right about that. Okay. Here we go. The lighting and photography are exceptionally good for this sort of movie. Which is to say, the lights are on and the camera is in focus. Really unfair, because Matt Olberg is a great director of photography. He's a legend, and this movie is gorgeous. The snark begins. Oh boy. Director Stuart Gordon, an alumnus of Chicago's innovative organic theater. Okay, I have to stop. An alumnus? He didn't go there and graduate. He started the fucking theater. He's the artistic An alumnus of Chicago Innovative Organic Theater. Obviously, Stuart Gordon has a sense of style to go with his abysmal lack of restraint. I think he's right about that. Although there were times when, like, the guys with the special effects, and they'd like put blood and very carefully and set it all up. Okay, we're ready, and then Stuart would go away. Hand me that gallon jug. Oh yeah, that's shit. So, no restraint. None. Okay. The cast is bright and witty enough. Jesus. Especially Jeffrey Combs as a mad young scientist working on a serum that can revive the dead. And David Gale as a mad old scientist who learns about the serum and thereupon loses his composure and his head in rapid succession. At one point, Combs scoffs at Gale. Join a sideshow. You're a talking head who will listen to you. That's not the fucking line. I suppose this is before, you know, Google and internet even, and, you know, he'd have to watch the movie again and really take
probably
the
scribbling
notes.
in the dark and trying to get it down.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, he should not write scripts because, you know, you're a talking head who will listen to you. If you join a shot show, you're a talking head who will listen to you. The actual line is, who's going to believe a talking head get a job at a sideshow? That's a lie. Barbara, fraternity vacation, Crampton. Okay, really? Did she do a movie called Fraternity Vacation? She must have. He didn't make that up. But still, I don't think the movie was about her, because it's about a fraternity on vacation, not a sorority. So, this is just so, yeah, you know, that was unnecessary, right? But he did it anyway, because that's the way this guy rolls. So he said, Barbara, fraternity vacation, Crampton, playing a co-ed, looks good with her shirt off. Yeah, I know. She does, but so much more than that. She's wonderful in this movie. Bruce and her are the heart and soul of this movie. So with all that, it's pretty hard to admit to actually liking a film in which one character ends up being strangled by the intestinal tract of another. And skulls are crushed with monotonous frequency. Okay, that one really bothers me because I had to think about that one. Monotonous frequency, let's see, I can think of two. Hill's Head when Dean Halsey crushes it because it's what he's trying to do to his daughter. That's one. And maybe poor Rufus when he was thrown against the wall. I can't think of any more. And I don't think that qualifies as monotonous frequency. But anyway. And now we're at the last sentence. The coup de grace here. It's like a bullfighter going right in. Here it is. Glasses. Most people will find this movie about as tasteful as a worm sandwich. I have no idea if a worm sandwich is tasty or not. But you want to know what this is from? People magazine. Like every household in America read this review if they read anything, right? I'm keeping it. That's all.
That was amazing. Have you considered just going on the road and doing a show of just you reading old reviews and commenting on that? That alone would be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I might wind up committing suicide. I mean, there were others. A lot of them mostly from small towns, you know, in the midsection of the, horrified, the Bible Belt. Just, stay away from this trash, yeah. Well, Mr. Novak's nowhere to be found. Here we are. So. Unless he's in the audience, then it really screwed.
Is he here? Oh, there, yeah. Do you look back on this film? I mean, I think we all agree your performance is amazing. Are there any little moments where you're like, oh, that kind of bugs me, or oh, I wish I would have done something a little different, or it didn't quite go the way I wanted to?
That always goes with the territory. That's always the case. Any movie. Oh man, I missed that. Actually, the line I just read. Who's going to believe a talking head? Who's going to believe it? The way I did it in the movie is I said, who's going to believe a talking head get a job in a sideshow, right? But sometimes when I watch this movie with a crowd, who's going to believe a talking head gets a laugh? If I had put a pause in there, I'd have gotten 2 laughs.
Still burns you to this day.
Who's going to believe a talking head? Wait for it. Get a job in a sideshow. Oh, it would have worked, it could have, but you have to, that in theater you learn that. Oh, tomorrow night I know what to do, but it's too late. It's too late in the movie. The other thing I really don't like is there's a moment where it's a piece of exposition that I have to say for the movie to go forward, and it's atrocious, and I hate it, but I had to do it. And that's when he stole it. He took it all. Oh, except for what I have upstairs. Oh, God. I mean, as an actor, you just have to be the exposition machine at that point. You have to say it, but it's so fucking unmotivated. But you don't want your audience to like later on at the climax of the movie, literally, at the climax of the movie, they say, "Where did he get that stuff?" But if they heard that, they know, oh, right, he did mention that there's that. So,
It's very important.
well, it's an important moment. I knew it, so I said it, but I couldn't figure out a really good way to say it. There's just no way.
Well, should we
I love it. Yeah, let's
open it up to some audience Q&A? If anyone has some questions, do we have some mics set up out there?
Oh, and well, there was light. Hey, up there. Good to see you. Hi. A gorgeous place.
Look at that, yeah. Do we have some mics set up somewhere? They're working on it. Where are they? People are.
There's one right there.
Where are they? Are there microphones?
There's one right there.
Okay. I'll answer your questions if you've got them. Yeah, sure. Talk loud.
Can you talk about David Gale? He's like one of my favorite baddies of all time, and I just want to know what's like.
Yeah, David Gale. What a gentleman he was. He was truly a gentle man. He was very sweet and patient. And God, you had to be patient to have a head, to have a hole in a table. And you know, there's blood in the pan, so it's got to be really tight around your neck so it doesn't like leak. And you have to stay there for hours because, oh, don't move, you know, because it took time to get in there. And so he just had the patience of a saint to do that. And he's so good in this movie. And it's, you know, I didn't really get to know David all that much. But, you know, we certainly had scenes together in this movie, but, you know, it's all compacted and crushed together and we're doing it. And then we go on with our lives. And of course he was in Bride of Re-Animator with me, but we didn't have a whole lot of interaction there. And unfortunately, he passed away all too soon in his life. Otherwise, he very well might have been here talking with you. It's a sad story. It's a tragic story. He was understudying an actor in a nice theater in LA, and that actor got a TV gig. So LA. And he said, I gotta go to Vancouver because you know, something that's actually paying me. And so David went on, and he had a heart attack on stage. It gets worse. So they, fortunately, the theater was right by UCLA campus. UCLA Medical is, you know, top line stuff, and they rushed him there. And long story short, he was a candidate for a heart transplant, which he had. And the day that he was scheduled to be released from the hospital, they found him collapsed in his room. And there's nothing funny about that.
Well, you two are such good kind of butting heads in this movie, just from your first meeting on, just, you know. And certainly the
that was my callback, actually. My first audition was just with Stewart, and then my callback, when I got the callback, I had to go in and do the basement scene where he comes into my bed, well, look at this, and I bet you, and you will do what I say. That's the scene that we auditioned for. And I think we nailed it. We both got the parts.
Any other questions from the audience? Just shout it out.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I have theater training too. When I moved to Milwaukee, I moved to intern at Milwaukee Rep, so thanks for shouting us out. I'm curious to know, because you're from a theater background, and you've done so much genre movies, and I've heard like Barbara Crampton talk about how it's not what she set out to do, but that's sort of the community that embraced her.
Heard Barbara say what?
That she got embraced by sort of the genre horror community.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious if what your experience was like with that, and if there's other genres you would have liked to do.
All genres. That's
Sure.
what. you know, when you come from the theater, very early on, they said you will have a longer, more fruitful career if you're versatile. If you're versatile. And I took that to heart a lot. And so all my training, all of my work, I was always trying to do something else, something different, something diversified. And then you come to Hollywood, they don't want that. They really, there's so many actors, there's so much competition. They have to remember so many actors they can't. And so the sooner they can just identify you, label you, and if they need that, they'll pull that one out. You know, they don't have to spend a lot of imagination. And so I spent a lot of time early on turning down lab coat needle parts. Mad scientists, you know, because Re-Animator was like starting to be imitated, and oh, let's get, you know, so I really had to like sort of push back on a lot of that, and I could work more, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep my options open, which is hard because there's not a lot of people that have a lot of imagination to go, hey, you know, he could be in a Western, he could be, you know, a sitcom actor. He's thought of as a sitcom actor, even though maybe he had as much training as I did, or she did, but that's what they're known for. And so it perpetuates itself. It's like, ugh. So I was very fortunate that Star Trek came along. And you know, some people do have some imagination, because the head writer of that, Irish Stephen Bear, loved Re-Animator and saw that I could do more than that and gave me chances, and forever grateful for that. So I've managed to do a lot of different genres, and but not as many as I'd like to, but enough. I'm happy with what I've done. So yeah, it's always a challenge. In theater, they do think of you as doing all kinds of things. And thank goodness for Stewart. I mean, yes, a lot of his movies are horror movies, but he never had me always do that thing you do, right? So I was grateful for that too. There's a guy holding up
right there, light stick.
needle. Are you giving it to me, or no? Yes.
So you worked with Stewart on multiple different Lovecraft adaptations, like including the Dunwich Horror and From Beyond. Is there any particular Lovecraft story that you wish you would have gotten to do with him?
That's a good one. There were a couple that didn't happen that he was working on. There's a Lovecraft story called The Hound, I think. It's about a three-headed dog. I always thought that would be a really good movie. That never happened. There was one where it took place in Egypt that he really worked on a lot for, and he did it. By the way, I did Dunwich Horror, but not with Stewart. That's okay. Yeah. So, yeah, those would have been good ones, I think. It's hard to get a movie made, even when you're successful with one. So there are a lot of projects, I'm sure, in Stewart's files and papers, which are at Madison. I think he donated them to the library. There are a lot of scripts there that he worked on that never saw the light of day.
Were you familiar with Lovecraft before taking the role in Re-Animator, or was it all just kind of this unknown to you at the time?
Not only no, but hell no. But then again, yes. because I didn't know that I knew Lovecraft. Because when I was a kid, you know, there were magazines like Eerie Magazine and Famous Monsters, and they're filled with short stories, and I would read them. And then once I started getting more familiar with Lovecraft, I realized, oh, these writers are ripping off Lovecraft. That's what this is. So they were grafting off of Lovecraft, and I just didn't know it. I wasn't aware of the references. I was too young. So yes, I did, but I didn't know, right?
Anyone else want to shout something out?
One way back there. Yes, you.
All right. I just wanted to ask on a production level more.
Speak up a little bit.
On a production level more than anything, I saw the movie when I was 18. It's a classic movie and I love it. But rewatching it, it is amazing how, for instance, the David in the tray is a known effect of having the head coming through the table. But then is a known effect of him coming through the table, but it's also, he had the ability to do a unbelievable performance. Did the director plan that out, or did he basically make that decision on set? Creative decisions, because obviously the creative decisions on set were stellar.
Okay, help me out.
Talking about the head scene, the severed head scene, David Gale's in the head, or he's in the pan rather,
Yes.
and this was kind of switching between a prop and then his actual head. Was that
Yeah.
kind of a thing that was?
Really well thought out stuff, man. They did all kinds of really clever visual tricks with all of that. If you break it down, it's like I know how they did it, but it's just all sort of that makes sense. You know, like when the guy is, you know, when you see the body carrying the head, but the body is from behind. Well, the stuntman, this is really clever. They put a fake shoulder with a stump on it on his shoulders. And then they took a piece of leather and tied it to his belt, and then he tightened up so that his head would stay down. And so from behind, you can't see his head. It's so simple, but effective. Little tricks.
And it's fantastic seeing like all these practical effects now.
Yeah.
Certainly in the age of, you know, people have different opinions on CGI, but it is amazing to watch a film.
Well, it's so much more fun when it's an illusion, like a magic trick, as opposed to, oh, that's CGI, yeah, everybody can do that. It's a lot more clever when it's, you're dazzled by the cleverness of the trick.
I'm talking about that, who would have thought that?
So there was a lot of thought in that. It was all thought out. This is Stuart, it was all thought out before we shot. There was no like, how do we do it on set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I was wondering, is there an archetype that you've always wished you could play but haven't gotten time to yet?
You know, I like film noir a lot. And I'd love to do sort of, you know, there are some of my movies that's very noir-esque, but I just really like that world, shadows, and, you know, making a blank wall look interesting with shadows and the melancholy aspect of noir. You know, usually those guys are damaged goods. You know, they're quietly suffering. Way too much smoking going on for sure. But I just like that kind of melancholy sort of vibe. So I'd love to do something like that.
Not so much a lab coat, but a trench coat kind of role.
Yeah, fedora, trench coat. It doesn't even have to be that even. It just could be a modern day. You know, when they. I've read all those Harry Bosch books by Michael Connelly, you know. That's very noir stuff. It's just updated, and it's like, why didn't I get that part?
Anyone else?
So coming up from the theater environment into the film environment, watching this movie, you can clearly tell it's like every single set looks like a stage. Like that's what I've noticed watching.
Well, it looks like a stage because it's lit that way.
My question is, was that the common thread across your career? Like were most movie sets filmed as though they were on stage?
No, I don't know if this stage was filmed, was shot to be on theater because Mac wasn't from the theater. He was just trying to create a vibe that fit the tone and style of the piece. And there's something, you know, he's just adding to the fantastical sort of ethereal kind of things in the shadow kind of quality of this movie. Some things were locations. The upstairs of the house, that's a location. The basement, no, that's a set. The upstairs of the hospital, yeah, but the morgue, the hallway, the operating room, all a set. So it's this real mix of real places that are locations, and it's all about controlling what you can do. You notice there's not a lot of driving around. One of the things that's so timeless about this movie is that you can't really kind of put your finger on when. It's kind of, there's no really bad, ugly, stupid computers or phones or even cars, or even the clothing is sort of generically somewhere in there. But yeah, I'd say even hairstyles are sort of, okay, it could be, I don't know. So it gives it sort of a timeless kind of quality. And those are amazing decisions that keep this movie kind of staying fresh, you know? But yeah, I don't know who to pick.
Favorite movie of mine that you're in,
The Frighteners.
Yeah.
Next year will be the 30th anniversary of The Frighteners. Maybe Peter Jackson will be sitting here.
Yeah, it seems very obvious with Peter Jackson's other work that Re-Animator is
When, maybe you all can't hear, he's asking about, it's obvious from Peter Jackson's earlier work that he must have been a fan of Re-Animator. And I went for the audition for Frighteners. It was really late in his casting. They just couldn't find Dammers. My agents had pitched me earlier, and they said, no, he's too young. Well, I'm not too young anymore, but we're looking for somebody a little, and then they just still couldn't find it, so they said, okay, fine. And I went in really late because I know it was really late because Michael J. Fox was in the audition process. He's not going to be hanging around doing that until it's crucial. And Peter actually pulled me aside before I went in and told me that he was a big fan of Re-Animator. Gave me a couple of choice notes, and really he did. His note was, no, wait, first of all, I did it. I did my audition, and I worked on it a week, right? I did it, and he goes, yeah, no. Yeah, that's good, but do this. And he said, attack, retreat, no eye contact. And I went, huh? I got that, okay. So that's what you see there, attack, retreat, no eye contact. But it really clicked for me. I really understood what he was trying to say there. He's genius and a joy to work with, and one of the mountaintop experiences of my life, working with Peter Jackson. Michael J. Fox, New Zealand, my God.
On the same lines, American Beauty. That's how I found this movie. How did American Beauty resurge Re-Animator?
What did he say?
There's a reference in American Beauty
Oh, I know.
to Re-Animator.
American Beauty. You know, that's when I knew. If you see American Beauty, they reference Re-Animator in it. Like he wants to buy weed for the kid. He goes, hey, you know, how about that movie? Taking that movie, you know, that Re-Animator movie. You know, it was code for I'm here to get weed. And, that's when I knew we were like in the like zeitgeist of society. Like, oh wow, and everybody laughed because they got the joke or something. But there's a reason they did that, because at the end of American Beauty, you know, the lecherous older guy is leaning over her, and it is like almost shot for shot the ending of Re-Animator.
That's how I found the movie.
That's how you found Re-Animator, because you went, what's he talking about? Let me go check that out. You're a genius. Well, that's the way I used to find albums way back when. It's like I'd hear an album, who's in this? Oh, wow, well, what else have they done? Oh, they're in that group too? Let me go check that out. Bingo.
We got someone on the mic, standing up at the mic.
Oh, I love that.
So, I wanted to say, first of all, going back to Stuart Gordon, Castle Freak, I love it. My other question actually is, how fun was it for you and Bruce to shoot the scene in the basement with Rufus? Because that just looked like you guys had a blast.
Bingo. This is what Bruce was great to work with. We just clicked. We were both West Coast actors. We knew a lot of people, but we had never met. So it was just kind of like, oh yeah. And we just, you know, just slid right in together. And he was so generous and so supportive of me. And I tried to be of him. It was just really kind of like a lead guitarist and a rhythm guitarist. Just in sync, right? The scene in the basement, you're talking about what we all know as the cat scene. Here's what I love. That's kind of my favorite scene, from when he goes down the stairs till Meg comes down the stairs and breaks up our, just about got him, to agree to help me. That whole sequence is called the cat scene. There is no cat. There's no cats. To me, that's cinema. Because everybody calls it the cat scene, and it's sound effects, and it's a light swinging, and it's two actors being very specific with a croquet mallet and a bat, and really, we danced, we figured that out. It was like, okay, you're gonna do that, oh, then maybe we say it's over there, yeah, that's good. And the music, put all the elements of filmmaking together, and there's no cat.
It's movie magic. We got time for a few more here, I believe. What's this?
Stuart Gordon on race.
Okay,
Stand up.
okay, this one's good.
Stand up.
Okay,
Back.
he writes about that in his book, but he gets it a little wrong, but I got it. We were shooting a movie in Australia. We were shooting a movie called Fortress. It's a underground prison movie. Kurtwood Smith is in it. Christopher Lambert and me. It's a pretty good movie. And at the time, I had brought a CD with me. Yes, a CD. Yes, a CD. With me of the new Dire Straits album. Yeah. And there was one song on it that Stu just loved called Heavy Fuel. Heavy Fuel. It's a ripper. And And he came to me one day and he said, hey, should I tell him? He said, hey, Dire Straits is coming to Brisbane, which was about 45 minutes away from where we were shooting. And I got us tickets, we're gonna go. It's like 4 of us and we're gonna go. Okay, so that's cool. So we get in his car and everything's the other side. And somebody pulls out a big doobie and we're on our way. And maybe another doobie showed up, I don't know. But by the time we got there, we were fairly baked. And so we go into the concert, and it's good, it's great, and we're coming back out. We're coming back out, and the steward goes, hey, we may have a problem. I can't find my keys. I go, what? He goes, I can't find my keys. Maybe I left them in there or something like that. And we kind of at that point got to the car, and as soon as we got there, like a security guard, he had a fucking badge on it, I don't know. He came over and he said, is this your car? Well, it's a rental car, but yeah, it's my car. And he goes, well, you left it running?
For the entire Dire Straits concert?
Well, at some point, he must have luckily went, hey, this car's on. And then he handed Stu his keys, but have a nice drive home. Wow. Wow. I guess it was really good weed.
I guess.
We just laugh about that all the time. You left it on. I mean, we just got out and walked away. It's nuts. It turned out okay. Hello, Herbert. I see a Herbert there. Hi.
Oh yeah, we've got some folks
Okay,
on the
we'll
mic.
try to do a rapid round here. Thanks for helping me bring that out. That was good.
Go ahead.
Is there like props you kept from the movie?
I didn't hear that.
Props that you have, are there props that you've kept from the movie?
Yeah, unfortunately, no. I don't. I wish that I had been that prescient, but I didn't think in those times that I'd be here 40 years later. Otherwise, it might have been good for me to do that, but I just didn't think of it. That's another department. You don't want to mess with them. So a lot of the time they need things for insert shots for later. So it's if you took them, that'd be a problem for them. Because they're trying to fix things and get inserts and where is that? So yeah, no, I didn't keep a thing, and I wish I had.
Glad you hung on to the old reviews though. That was very good.
That came in handy. Yeah.
Got another question over there on the mic?
First of all, welcome to Milwaukee. It's so nice to have you here.
I love Milwaukee. I was walking all around today. It was lovely. It was like, they've got canals here.
That was actually my question I was going to ask, but I have a different one. I'm also a big fan of Would You Rather.
I love Would You Rather. I'm really proud of Would You Rather.
Yeah. Do you both Herbert West and your character in that movie? They're both kind of sadistic. You don't really know their motives and questionable morals. Did you feel any Herbert West coming back into you for that role, or did you?
No, I did not. I didn't feel like Herbert West at all in that movie. Not really. I think that's a powerful movie. It's about something. It's not gratuitous, and yet it feels like it's harrowing. It's just so tense, and yet there's no graphic blunt and spurting. Not really. It's implied, and you think you see more than you actually do, which is really kind of a cool thing. And to me, that movie is about the haves and the have-nots. That the people that are up in the upper stratosphere of legacy wealth, and they've lost something, and not all of them, but we're just playthings. We're just an amusement for them, and they take delight, Satan, just a sadistic delight in your desperation. And boy, does that not speak to our times right now, right? So it's always good when a movie is about something. Yeah.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Herbert West is such an iconic character, and I was wondering, what do you think he's up to in 2025? Because I like to think that he's still around causing trouble somewhere.
Well, yeah, I don't think Herbert ever stops. I would really love to have, it'll never happen, but like one more chapter in the story of this, where Dan Kane, whose life has been ruined by me, finally tracks me down, and it's kind of maybe a revenge movie of some sort. There's been so many iterations over the years about that, but I always thought like Herbert was, the first thing that he would probably do is find some alcoholic mortician somewhere who's sort of a little foggy-headed and not really knowing what's going on with his business. But boy, this guy does great work down there, and it would afford Herbert access to everything he needs. And the work would continue. It seems to me that would be a good way, an anonymous way for him. Or one of the iterations was he's on an island and just doing big lab and lots of splicing and dicing, and it's all about the work.
I think we deserve a legacy sequel, yes.
Yeah, something.
Thank you so much.
We got one final question.
It's Herbert.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question, but I also just wanted to quick say, my dad, who's here with me and very awesome and introduced me to Re-Animator. Actually, him and my mom saw that Peter Pan play you were talking about when they were dating.
You saw it? I never, oh my God! You're a rare gem. It's amazing. I don't think there were many showings of that movie. I think they went, no, we're done. That's it. The run is over. Yeah.
My actual question, aside from crazy anecdote, was I like to put together playlists and stuff for some of my favorite characters, and clearly I really like Herbert West. If there is a song you could put on a playlist for Herbert West, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. I've often thought of that, and I've failed miserably. I'd have to think about that one. I'm not good at right away going, it would be this, I can't. I don't know.
Well, there's always the Talking Heads poster in the.
Well, isn't that genius? I mean, that is cinematic. That's called foreshadowing, right? It's like early in the movie, there's a Talking Heads poster. No one knows. No one knows what's coming. On the second and third and 15th and 16th showing, you go, oh, there it is. But that first time, it's just kind of peripheral. Oh, cool, he likes the Talking Heads, I guess. But wow, I'm surprised that or maybe not, that the Talking Heads didn't come along and go, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Maybe they liked the movie. You know who else told me that? Mac Olberg. This is a story about Mac Olberg, who's shooting a movie, and I don't remember what movie it was. Maybe it was a John Landis movie. And David Bowie came up to Mac Hallberg and said, "You shot Re-Animator. It's one of my favorite movies." And I wish, many years ago, I was at a sort of a concert of a bunch of acts, and one of them was Bowie, and I had access to backstage, and I saw him. I didn't know. And I had the courage to go up to him and go, I heard you like Re-Animator. But I didn't know, and so, I let the great one, it's really weird to go up to people and get in their face.
Well, that's a hell of a stamp of approval to have David Bowie be a fan.
So, did David Bowie write a song about Re-Animator? Golden Years, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we should probably wrap things up. I just wanted to say, Jeffrey, it was funny, before we did this, I was looking on YouTube for some clips.
Oh, no.
And there are multiple kind of compilations and the titles are Herbert West being iconic for 17 minutes. Herbert West being iconic for 15 minutes in Re-Animator. And I just wanted I think we all agree.
Look at these.
You gotta check them out, yeah, they're great.
There's bands that have written songs. It's just, it's a flood of. I'm just grateful for all of this. You know.
And we're grateful too. And thank you for delivering an iconic performance.
Well, Herbert West has been very, very good to me. He's opened a lot of doors, and it's just a lot of, it's just how things fall in your career. God knows that since that time, there have been real dead spots in my career where I didn't work for a long time. And what I always, because I had that in my history, it was like, yeah, but I'm good. Something will come along. It's a brutal career to be an actor because the highs are really high and the lows are just despairing sometimes. But what goes down comes up. So,
well, thank you again. Really appreciate it. Thank you for coming.